USA Warrior Stories is a not-for-profit organization designed to record, archive, and share videos of veteran stories, to help veterans make a connection with one another and to help us all better understand their sacrifices for our freedoms.
My name is John Melillo. My journey began after college. I was drafted. They sent me to Vietnam. I wound up in Long Binh, Vietnam, which was the biggest military installation in country, as a patrol supervisor to a combat MP company. It was at the very end of the war where the Vietnamization was happening, and they're pulling all the GIs in, and the only people seeing action were my group, the combat military policemen, and the assault helicopter groups, of course. I came home, I want to get on with my life. So I got a job in New York City in selling printing to financial printing down on Wall Street. And I ran this business race for 45 years, but I didn't realize until I retired that all that running and all that effort was to mask some of the things I had seen and experienced in Vietnam. And I was getting nightmares. I was having daymares. I didn't know what to do. I went to the VA for help. I had kind of avoided them for 50 years, but I finally went to them for help. So they became very receptive. They put me in these programs. And one of the things they did is they tested me for aptitude and rehabilitation aptitude. And it came out that, John, do not try to nail a nail into a piece of wood. You will lose your finger. But if you want to be in sales, which is what I did for a living, or if you want to do art, artistic, creative, actor, director, you're at the top of the food chain on the aptitude. So who knew? So with their help, I started rolling in classes in New York City. I went to the New York Academy of Art. I studied with very top people. School of Visual Arts, I studied there for 16, 17 weeks. The Met head courses I went to. I studied out here at the Cultural Center, which is where we're at now, the Southampton Cultural Center. They were a big help. Long Island Art League, New York Art League, you name it. I audited classes wherever I could find them. And it became a source of healing and solace for me. And also a talent. I never drew a straight line before. A talent, a God-given gift that I didn't know I had. And all that, you know, I credit God, I credit the VA for helping me on that. And as you can see, this is the result. So I started doing this and I immersed myself in it, and it became a form of healing, not only for myself, but also for all the people that come in here with the things I described to you that doesn't have to be war related. Where do you find your solace? I mean, my thing is, if you can dance, dance. If you can sing, join a choir. Immerse yourself in something creative that's rewarding, deal with your issues, and feel alive. In my case, it's a rebirth. It's a third act in life. I'm happy for it. Okay, we're at the Southampton Cultural Center at 25 Pond Lane in Southampton. It's November 10th, the day before Vets Day. And we had our part one put up, which is what we showed last year, where I took original photographs I took of Vietnam and painted them. And this year we're hosting part two. As far as the starting of Life Goes On part two, I felt it important to put forward a little on the patriotic side. And it just came to me to paint this. I saw the sunrise one day and it just had like drops of water dropping, and I said, geez, let me put a flag behind that and see what could happen. I call this strength, hope, honor, and courage. Your strength is obviously your Blue Angels. Your honor and courage is your flag, subdued against the striking sunrise. And of course, your hope is the Statue of Liberty. Then as we enter into our series of Life Goes On, I had a lot of leeway in my job. I mean, I had the power. There was always said I had the power of a two-star general because I ran a post. So I used that power to commandeer, let's say, goods and services, and I would put on parties for the different companies that were on post, you know, being homesick, and we had a great time. And my reputation grew, and they picked me. They came to me and they wanted me to host the whole Bob Hope presentation in Long Binh, Vietnam, which was the biggest military installation in the country. So in 1971, December 25th, 1971, I did the entire security for Bob Hope, flew them in, got them on stage, took care of all the security. And then again in 72, they came to me and wanted me to do Sammy Davis Jr. However, I only have the pass from that. I lost all the pictures. Different things happen in the war. You know, you can talk about shock and awe, you can talk about all the things, but what's unusual here is usual there. One would be symbiotic relationships. In a jungle, you don't fight it. The jungle, you become part of it if you want to survive. And one day, I got this big bump. So I went back. I thought we had maybe hit something or somebody. And what I'd done is there was a 9-foot rock python that stretched across the road to absorb the heat at night. And it was laying lifeless. So I said, well, let me throw it in the Jeep, took it back to my barracks. I figured the worst I could get out of it is a good belt and a nice pair of boots. Lo and behold, the next day, there it is, coiled up under my bed, wild-eyed, bushy-tailed. And one other thing I noticed is, for once, my boots weren't chewed on by any vermin. Okay, so in addition to that, I had a little lizard gecko or something named Billy. He lived in my pillow. So he took care of the mosquitoes and things at night around my head. This guy took care of anything on the ground. That went on for 3 weeks. We had this great symbiotic relation for 3 weeks. I get a call, I'm on duty, I get a call, get back to the barracks right away. And I go back there, and Rocky turned out to be a rockette. She had eggs that I didn't know about because she never moved, and her eggs hatched. So now they're spun around everybody's bedposts and they're going crazy. So I gathered up whatever pythons I could live in the jungle. I gave one to the motor pool, gave one to the engineering company. I'd miss her. But Billy stayed with me, so that was a good thing. One night we got called out because a 3/4-ton truck got stuck in a rice paddy. So we had to escort the wrecker out. So we go out, we lead the wrecker out, we find the 3/4-ton truck. They got 6 GIs. Now there's no place to put the GIs. You couldn't fit a nickel in my Jeep, the way we got it stacked. So they had to sit like this on the benches. So we picked them up, we turn around, we start heading back to post, and we hit our railroad track, and there the grading is ba-boom, ba-boom. It's not like here. And just so we go across it, the wrecker goes across it, and as soon as the 3/4-ton truck goes across it, it hits it, and it knocks the guys off the seat, and just then we get caught in an ambush. Boom, 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 boom. Now this is all a preface. In my Jeep, the front windshield was shot out. We didn't even know that, and my antenna in the back of the Jeep was shot off. There was at least 2 bullets that came through us. Whoever says there's not a God, they're not listening, because I tell you what, he's out there, he's good, and he watches over us. There was nobody hurt. Now, the story is the next day they sent me on a reconnaissance mission with 4 guys during the day to the same place to see if we could find a hidden bunker or a sniper nest or something like that. But we didn't find that. What we found is these great kids out there screaming. Look at the picture. Look at the picture. It tells all. Last night was the war. Today was for living large. You gotta love it. I had a job where I saw really kind of everything in Vietnam, because my duties were combat and civil, covering over 100,000 GIs or Vietnamese. Every day was an adventure, but at any rate, so I always saw the children. The Vietnamese really loved their children. Everybody took in orphans from both sides. Everywhere I looked, I saw smiling faces and friendly faces of all the children. And to me, that translates into a better generation for them, certainly as the war ended and they were going to be adults. And then the last is, we had a medal ceremony out in Farmingdale early this year. I didn't really want to go because, you got to realize when we came home from the war, it was just hostile. The attitude of America really had turned. It was the end of the war and everybody was tired of it. So you kept that, you tucked that away for 45 years and just went on. All I did was save lives and comfort the dying. I mean, and my guys did too. That's what I saw. So you can always do good things regardless of where you are. At any rate, so I went to this medal ceremony with a little bit of hesitation. I did it with my daughter and I said, you know what, let me go there for all the guys that I know that didn't come back and all the guys that weren't there to hear finally the words, thank you. And that's what we got. These people lifted us up. They made us feel very important. They, for once you heard about the ill treatment of the GIs when they came back from the war, but today it's a different story. Today the VA is great. They have many programs. People, particularly Vietnam guys, are very receptive to veterans. And you know what? And this medal ceremony lifted us all up and is certainly a testament to that. Now, if we continue our circle around, it's going to be your Long Island series, which is what we talked about. Particularly over here, we cover everything from Springs, New York, and East Hampton. My daughter and I are avid fishermen. We go back to my history, Flying Point Beach, where at a time we did family cookouts in the 50s, and there were shipwrecks. We take you to places I know, Pop-Up Bridge, where we clam diggers, a nice day on Peconic Bay. All these paintings are color-coded by the numbers, and the numbers are represented on each map and position of where they were painted. Here's bird watching here in Orient Point. Here's coming in from fishing one time, my daughter and I were coming into Sag Harbor. That'd be up here. So, down there is Shelter Island, where my grandparents met in the 1890s. They met working in Shelter Island. They were immigrants. And these are all Long Island inspired paintings. There's probably about 30 here. And each one is the kids going to Watermill, where my mother was born, in a house a quarter mile from there. Fishing with my daughter, of course, going out of Shinnecock Inlet and the North Shore, Caleb Park. The kids going to play and going out to soccer practice one early morning in Riverhead. Rough day at the marsh in Orient. Caleb's Park in Center Moriches, call it sailing. Back to the shipwrecks in Flying Point Beach. So, this is all kind of broken house, shipwrecks again. So it's all kind of geared towards that. But one thing I want to say in general about the American soldier, the American serviceman, I would hate to be a country outside of the United States and pick a war with us. Let me tell you a story. I grew up out here, as I say, in Sagaponack. My aunt had a farm, and we used to hunt a little bit back in the early 50s and stuff. And I remember one day a Springer Spaniel puppy showed up. I don't know where he came from, showed up where we were hunting, waiting for the ducks to come in. And he is sniffing and he's pointing and he's doing all the things. And not because anybody taught him, it was in his DNA. Now, the amazing thing is when I'm in Vietnam and I'm watching these new recruits come in, I'm seeing like the Casper milk toast. They probably stole the kid's milk money when he went to school. These guys come over and all of a sudden they become ferocious. They want action. They want to be heard. They want to get into it. And what it is again, back to that Springer Spaniel, it's in your DNA. What has the American man done all his, since the United States was created? War of 1812, Civil War, Revolutionary War, Spanish-American War, World War I, World War II, Vietnam, Afghanistan, Persian Gulf. All we do is fight wars. It's in our DNA. When we're proud of what we've built as a country, and I'll tell you what, when it comes to defending it, all the people you see that come over, the American soldier is ferocious. And for the most part, he wants to get into it. And he wants to protect that freedom. Because you know what? When you look around in most of these countries and you know what you have and they have, you want to make sure you get home to it.